All right, wonderful. So I'm going to move really quickly, and that's that's often kind of a blessing and a curse. I assume that they'll be able to get something in the way of a recording out to you guys, I hope. Worst case scenario, if you want my slides, please connect with me on LinkedIn. But yeah, the whole purpose of this particular presentation is growth hacking UX. These are tips, tricks, and psychology hacks for converting more users, elements and pieces of content that you should be putting into a very persuasive sales page or landing page, conversion rate optimization, and a few different case studies and a ton of different tools. So a little bit about me. I am originally from Washington, D.C., but I'm currently living in Denmark and have been for the last 5 years. I've started a handful of different companies here, more specifically Clint or clintmarketing.com. That's my growth hacking agency. Architecture Quote, which is a crazy labor of love, basically providing architects with new and interesting projects via automation, and growthsecrets.org, which is my growth hacking masterclass. I'm a 6-time startup founder, 13 years of marketing experience. Connect with me on LinkedIn. You're welcome to kind of look me up and stalk me to hear more, but as I already mentioned, these are some of my projects. Over the last 5 years, I've helped build and scale some of Denmark's fastest growing startups: Planday, Geniebelt, Actimo, and Valuer. 2 of the 4 startups listed here have been acquired. 1 of the 4 went IPO. So a track record of 3 out of 4 isn't bad. And I basically have been putting in all the automations and marketing efforts behind these. So yeah, it's nice to kind of see things come together. More recently in 2020, I was voted Ecosystem Hero of the Year from Denmark. Again, I'm not from here, but it's nice to be honored as like Denmark's Ecosystem Hero of the Year finalist. But my goal for today is quite simple. I'm here to provide value. If you get nothing out of today, you'll at least be able to pull some tools very quickly, or at least a few frameworks that I'm providing absolutely free. The goal is obviously to give people something that they can use. And I don't know, maybe in the process, I'm able to build up my network. I got a pretty good understanding of the crowd and kind of who's here. I will try to go back and forth via some of the questions within the chat, but this would normally be if I was at like a conference. God forbid, we don't really do those anymore. But yeah, I would be like, oh, who's an entrepreneur, this and that. Can't really do that. So for now, I'm going to move on. I use this phrase growth hacking a lot. I think it's become a bit of one of those jargon buzzwords that kind of loses meaning over time. My definition of growth hacking is super simplistic. Growth hacking is doing the most with the least amount of time and money in order to get the biggest results. I never do a one-for-one approach. I want to remove any manual efforts or have as few as possible. It's always a 1 for 50, 1 for 1,000, 1 for 10,000. The goal is to try to find unique and interesting ways with a little bit of optimization and a play on psychology in order to get the biggest results with not necessarily spending a ton of time. The way that I often define growth hacking is using a metaphor. So the metaphor is quite simple. Let's say your car breaks down and you have to take it into the shop. There's 2 mechanics on duty. One is a theoretical mechanic, and they've read every book on fixing automobiles over the last 5 years, but they've never actually gotten under the hood. The other person has fixed a variety of different vehicles, different components within the car, and they probably know how to fix your problem because they fix so many things around different problems. They got dirt underneath their fingernails. These are the growth hackers. It's doing the work, and that's how you really get good at stuff. I am going to be referencing a lot of different areas within marketing and conversion rate optimization and some of the kind of thoughts and theories behind it as well. But the idea of marketing is quite simple. Marketing is all about systems. If you understand one system really well, you can start to apply all the learnings to other parts of marketing. So as soon as you start understanding content, maybe your next step is going to be SEO, or maybe it's copywriting for web, and understanding that allows you to get better at UX. Once you kind of understand these core nodes, you can really spread out into different areas. So the idea is to get good at one thing first. I am going to cover a lot of tools, and just to give you a big overview, tools are just ingredients. So maybe instead of a chocolate cake, you want to make a vanilla cake. So this is the marketing technology landscape in 2011. This is it in 2014. And this is what it looks like last year. The one from this year is super ugly, so I don't like using it. But it's a long way to go to say that there are tons of tools that can help you along the way, and they've all kind of had unique little schisms that have broken off into new and interesting areas. So if I mention one type of tool, it doesn't mean that's the only one that does what I like it to do. It just means it's the one that I've had some success using and was familiar with, but there are thousands of other tools. So in 2019, there's over 7,000 marketing tools. It's everything from automation to content creation, you name it, it's there. So yeah, use some tools. It saves so much time. The whole idea of building a SaaS company is not very different from building your own business. Anybody who tells you it takes longer than 6 months is either selling you something or, yeah, another obscenity in there. Skipping right ahead, marketing funnels is where I'm going to go next. This is to give you a little bit of an understanding of kind of the big picture, and then I'm going to go super granular. So we've all probably seen these. There's different ways of visualizing them. Some are on the side like this, some are upright, but they all kind of follow the same course. You attract, convert, close, and delight. Attract means pulling people over to your website, somehow getting them to wherever it is that you are going to be selling them, selling, I guess, to them. Converting is where you get somebody's first name, last name, and then eventually a credit card, and then, yeah, closing them is basically once they're actually inside of your CRM and the payment has gone through. Delight is my favorite area, which is trying to find ways to make sure that you've either done the button up properly, you get referrals, or you get people super excited about how wonderful it is that you've done something for them by selling them a product or service. This is another look at the funnel: awareness, interest, decision, action. This is another look at the funnel when it comes to content. I just did a content webinar this morning for an hour and a half for a startup accelerator out in Estonia, Latvia. But yeah, basically the idea was that we went super granular and really deep into different types of content and what tends to work. And honestly, there is no perfect answer for that. But I tend to try to create a lot of top of the funnel content. So that's blog posts, downloadables, resources, listicles, infographics, that kind of stuff. There's some middle of the funnel stuff, which is a webinar like this. It could be case studies, very business related, kind of one step closer to the sale type stuff. And then there's bottom of the funnel stuff, which is your pitch deck, your demo, something in the way of, yeah, like your proposal, you name it. It's kind of towards the bottom. Then there's just another person that decided to add a few steps in. This is another look. This is HubSpot's way of looking at it, more geared towards sales. This is Dave McClure, our Pirate Metrics, which in growth hacking circles is kind of like this reinfusion of the same thing. It's all the same stuff. And the idea is that you need to work people through this funnel in order to get them to eventually buy from you. And so I'm going to go over a little bit of the concept behind the content that goes on your website, whether it is a landing page on one specific part of your website, maybe it's the only page on your website, or maybe you have a product page, you have an industry or multiple industry pages, and you have, I don't know, something in the way of, I don't know, like services, features, pages. All of this is relevant for that. So I borrow from a lot of places where I like their stuff. So I'll be showing Pedro Cortez's breakdown and giving my own flair on it. But the most important thing that I think people misconstrue about doing content and the core elements that go into pages is that they don't think of it as a structure. They don't think of it as a process. They're just like, oh, what do I feel like putting in here? Well, that makes sense. And I saw this over here. It's like, no. There's so many different ways to do this right, and there's probably a million ways to do it wrong. But I want to work my way through a very simple template because a lot of the one-on-ones that I have with startups that I mentor, this turns out to be one of the more mind-blowing things. So hopefully this will pan out, and just passing the time there. So yeah, this is a template. Connect with me on LinkedIn, and if you do, send me a message asking about this, and I'll try to fish it out for you. But this is a really simplistic breakdown of the different elements that you need for a landing page, homepage, or product page. I already kind of did this rant, but the idea is that there's psychology in play in all of these. So I'm going to run through it really quick. And again, connect with me on LinkedIn. Make sure to add a message. Taylor Ryan, the only guy that, I think I'm the only Taylor Ryan in Denmark. So cool. So the first thing is that we start with that H1. This is the big subject line. This is the above the fold. This is the area where you're basically saying, you get this without the pain, without the challenge, without the amount of money, time, energy, whatever it is. Usually the goal is to put something that is hyper related to whatever your product or service is and some form of reducing pain or some type of objection. We reduce the commitment, so sign up free or monthly contracts or no obligation, that type of stuff, in order to then say you can sign up right now, and a strong CTA. The next section right here tends to actually be right beside this. So this is either a conception of your project or your product or service. So I often would tell clients to basically put a cartoon version of it so that you don't give it all away at once. The whole idea is we want to create curiosity as we go down. You can also put something in the way of a video up here if you have a product that has an explainer video, and those can be relatively easy to put together. This next area is where most people screwed up. So the concept here is we want to build credibility. How do we do that? We have to put logos that are either recognizable or look like they're from reputable companies. And there's a million different ways to do that. Let's say you already have existing clients. Great, then you should be putting those logos in so that people immediately get some sense of like, wow, this could be a trustworthy company. They work with this company that I'm aware of and a bunch of other logos that look legit. So ways to do this if you don't have clients yet. First way is, let's say you integrate with a lot of tools because you're working on a SaaS platform, then wonderful. Let's say that you have a few people on your team from different universities. You can certainly put down the universities that you went to. In order to get logos on your site quickly, one way to do this would be give it away. And I promise it's not the end of the world. Tons of people do this on a very regular basis. In order for me to put your website, your logo on my website, I need you to agree that you will give it to me and not have a problem with me putting it up there, so long as you get access to whatever my product or service is. This works really easy. This is one of those things that just, it never hurts to ask, work with people in your network, but it's a super easy thing. It's a huge validation and trust signal. You are crazy if you're not doing that right below the fold. The next area is super interesting to me. There's a bit of an apprehension in the Nordics because I find that people don't like to criticize competition or criticize current solutions. But what we're trying to adjust in this section is, does it really make sense in the current way that we do things? We're trying to empathize with the people that are experiencing the biggest pain points that our product or solution solves. So we want to basically say, all the other people that are doing this wrong don't even know that I'm the one who's doing it right. So you critique the current way that things currently just aren't functional. So I don't know, maybe there's a manual process that currently exists that you have to forego every time, and you are the automation tool that does that. Or maybe you're a course that allows people to actually sit down and learn as much as they want in one sitting versus having to go to a school, sign up for expensive classes online and then have to attend, and who has time for that? Do it at your leisure, whatever. The whole concept is you're trying to show why you are the answer to their problems and why the problem exists in the first place. The next area is super interesting, and I find that some people have difficulties with this, but we want to put a monetary value on how much money you could potentially be saving somebody by using your product or service. So what is it costing you to not be a client or a customer of mine? And there's so many different ways that we could put that together if you are looking at just time as a construct and how much that might end up saving somebody. It's a different way of doing it, but I promise it works. The last little section here that I think is really close to the product or service as it pertains to benefits looks like it's supposed to be steps to getting started, but realistically, every step is just a benefit. So you basically say, this is going to solve all your problems. Step one is you get the first benefit, whatever it is that your product or service is that has some sort of benefit. You look cool, you feel good, whatever the case is, it's there. And then throughout this, for anybody that's done sales and recognize this, we're trying to reduce the objections before they say them. They're like, well, what if I don't have time for doing this? Well, this is actually faster than doing it the old way that we talked about before, which is going to school and taking time to do it this way. And it's like, oh, okay, you got me there. Well, this seems really expensive. Actually, it's not. It's a fraction of the cost of what you would normally pay to go to a brick and mortar school. And the information is more up to date and it's a better thing overall. Oh, well, you kind of got me there too. And the last one you can do in the same way. The whole idea is you're trying to overcome all the objections before they even bring them up. This last little section is a fun section. I like messing with this section. A lot of people don't go super over hard into generating real testimonials. And it's the easiest thing to do. If people like your product or service, they're going to let you know. But if you're not asking them directly every once in a while to say, hey, I got to mix it up on my site. Do you mind? Would it be okay if you could just put into a sentence or two what my product has done for you? And I mean, honestly, if you have something decent, you should be able to get it. If you don't, then we do this. Thispersondoesnotexist.com is an AI generated algorithm that basically creates unique faces every time you hit the refresh button. So this could be Denise, this is Cindy, this is Jared. Jared says that this is the best product he's ever spent money on and it wasn't an impulse buy and he's so glad and all of his daughters use it, yada, yada, yada. And there's Michael, and yeah, you guys get the idea. So you can do this pretty easily. And by the way, no douchebag's actually going to sit there and look up the person, but let's say they do, Google image search, they're not going to find them. These are immediately generated faces that do not come up. Not the same person. Guy that's charged in a bowling alley shooting. I hope that wasn't Jared or Michael, but it's not the same face. So there you go. I just want to get through this and then maybe I'll hit some questions if they come up. The last little area is, again, we're trying to validate or give some type of trust signal with those company logos. And then we're trying to build some sense of FOMO, fear of missing out. So the concept is, well, look at all these amazing people that are already using my product or service. Do you want to be the last one to figure it out and get there? Like, no, of course not. And then we do what we call apply risk reversal. So that means no monthly contracts, cancel at any time. Like, give everybody the least amount of things to worry about before they actually convert. And I will go into how you actually put together a simple conversion form, but that to me is a pretty solid way of doing it. Every once in a while, just for the sake of testing, I apply a alternative CTA for the skeptics, the people that are like, I don't know if this is real, or how do I know that I can't get my money back? Like, whatever the case is. There's a million different ways to do this, but these are some of the main core elements that go into a landing page. That can be, again, your home page, product page, whatever the case is. And it works really well. I do this with all my clients, and honestly, it's, I don't know, it's relatively easy. In the essence of time, maybe I can pause and see if there's any questions that are super relevant. I don't have a good feeling about faking testimonials. Like, it's okay, it's not for you. Not everybody has to, but ethical boundaries, like, honestly, I couldn't care less. All right, yeah, those are not real questions. But by all means, like, live your life. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, that's not for you. Otherwise, if you are comfortable with scaling your business and want to find some semblance of success by putting some of these signals that give some form of trust, then great. The whole idea behind startups and small businesses, unfortunately, is to fake it till you make it. But yeah, if this defeats your sensibilities, I understand everybody's different. Moving on, I'm going to cover a couple of quick areas. I'm trying to stay cognizant of time here, but avoid default mode or robotic thinking. I think this is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to scaling any business, because we try to take on new things and we try to take it from like, well, how would I do that? So I often run into this with some of like the new hires that I have that come in. So let's say the task is, hey, can you grab me a beer? 20% of the people will walk up to the fridge, stand there for a moment. They'll come back to me empty-handed and say, the fridge was closed. And then I have to define the steps. And it's like, all right, man, like, dude, walk over to the fridge, 10 steps, grab the handle, pull the door handle, locate the beer, grab a single can of beer, close the fridge, bring it back to me. And until somebody kind of framed it that simply and really categorized the steps, they were like, but well, why would I? So it works the same way with building content on your website. And I think success begets success, but take inspiration from others. Find the people within your niche, within some field of competition. And this is, by the way, not cheating or stealing. This is getting inspiration from others. Break free of the default mode. You'll be a million times happier by taking frameworks that already exist that work. So these are a handful of examples of websites that work really well to help you to kind of lay things out. SaaSlandingpage.com is probably one of my favorites. The reason that we do this is I want to do pattern interruption. This is a psychology principle. It basically allows you to show novel and new things, different layouts, different ways of engaging an audience so that they're not stagnating and basically going, this is boring. The worst type of websites that I encounter on a regular basis are image, text, text, image, image, text, text, image, image, and so on. But yeah, check out those websites. I think they're super valuable. And again, we're using it as inspiration, and I think that's super relevant for anybody that's trying to scale from an early stage. Last little bit before I pause for questions, because I think I've already gone like 20 minutes. So yeah, this is great for the home page, the product page, the service page, industry page. If you have very specific features that you like talking about and you feel like they are really distinctive, then great. You can create sub-feature pages that allow you to really sell on the benefits of each of these features. You can also do solutions for specific industries. So maybe you work with governments, maybe you work with small businesses, maybe you work with medium-sized business. I have no idea. But this is generally how a lot of people scale up with a lot of content across these pages in order to really, work the system. I don't know, I was checking the chat and everybody was super Debbie Downer about testimonials. Look, you don't have to use it. And yeah, I am definitely saying you can do that. And if, I don't know, I'm not even going to debate that. That's ridiculous. Where do you put the money back guarantees? So that's definitely a risk reversal. Risk reversal is one of those things where it's, it's a money back guarantee, risk reversal. So it's towards the bottom. How to gain quality leads besides advertising and social media platforms. Cool. Glad you asked. I'm going to go over that one because I'm getting all in my head about this whole like, you can't do that. He said fake testimonials. But yeah, let me bounce ahead to a couple of things. The About page is a ton of fun. I think you should have an About page. It's huge for the EAT algorithm, expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness. I'm going to skip ahead and jump over to how to get people moving in on your stuff. So yeah. So getting customers. So driving traffic comes from multiple areas, and there's a lot of different ways to really drive it well. So one is having a super SEO optimized website and building out blog articles that are somehow interesting, valuable information, practical information, or are entertaining. Either way, a blend of high search volume and low keyword difficulty is the way to go. But I'm going to work through very quickly the process of actually capitalizing and getting your first 100 leads by offering one piece of content. So the idea, and this comes from a lot of different places, ClickFunnels really crystallized this whole methodology, but you're driving traffic from Facebook, social media, maybe you even want to go into paid ads for a little bit and see how you do. The concept there is you're driving people to a landing page, could be the home page, and you are offering a free download. In order to get that download, you need to give your first name and email address. Many different platforms allow you to insert funnels or forms automatically and without much work. I do have some other slides in this presentation that I could hit that would show you a couple of different tools. There's Convertful, there's MailChimp, there's a ton of these different tools. So you've gotten somebody into your funnel, and the first email that comes out is an exclusive offer. So this landing page, the whole idea of having this landing page is a valuable piece of content. So maybe it's, I don't know, a giant listicle that's super helpful for people that might be in your industry. Or it could be a guide or a buyer's guide for whatever it is that is related to your product or service. The next email that comes out after that is a small offer. It's a very small offer that is a very small price point that allows most people to be like, well, okay, $5 for something that might be a bigger part of your product or service. If you're selling a course, it would be, I don't know, 2 hours of your course for $5. And it's like, what? That's a pretty good deal. But the upsell, the big offer is, I want you to buy the entire course for $500. So if I can get you used to paying me a little bit, then maybe I'm selling you a good portion of my course. But the big upsell is not only do you get the course, but you also get the template and you get the, I don't know, the other buyer's guides and the other things that I kind of talked about. Then off of that, you want to continue to push people through your funnel through anywhere from 8 to 20 different emails that are filled with resources that are maybe pushing people towards a webinar, that are pushing people towards a video guide that you created. And ultimately, you're always pushing people back to this small offer. I would say that you could draw this out pretty easily using draw.io, and that's a pretty standard tool for wireframing out this stuff. But as you can see here, you have webinar and the free guide and the video and social media ads and so on. So that is a really simplistic way of looking at the funnel. Cool. I'm going to try to find, I have way too many tabs open. Here we go. Let me see if there's any questions in here. How to gain quality leads besides that? Yeah, I just already hit that one. But I do think that there is some value to testing out a little bit of search ads, so Google ads, and Facebook ads. You have to spend money to make money. And if the price point of your product or service is enough that you're not going to lose your hat, then then spend the money. Like, come on, that's crazy. And you'll learn something in the process. Do I offer a course on the funnel system? I offer a course that was basically like the condensed version of my 2-day masterclass. And I definitely cover in detail conversion funnels. I think a lot of the stuff that I go super deep in is more product marketing and related to, SaaS products. But if anybody's really curious, I don't know, I've put it at like such a cheap price point. I used to just do this stuff for free because, I don't know, I thought it would be helpful to help people. And I thought you give stuff out and stuff comes back to you. Not so much, but it's $50. So growthsecrets.org if you want to check that out. And yeah, I mean, it's 16 hours condensed down to 8. So I don't know, I tend to move just as fast in the course, but you can pause it, and look at things. So hopefully that's helpful. Any other questions or comments? I have no idea how well I'm doing on time. Let's see, is anybody angry about?
Hi, Taylor, it's okay. You've got 1 or 2 more minutes and then the next talk starts.
Okay.
But we're okay.
Cool. Well, there's a great question in there about chatbots and streamlining towards the funnel. So yes, chatbots are super relevant for e-commerce sites. A lot of e-commerce sites are picking up chatbots in order to direct people to certain areas. You need really advanced chatbots to get to a level where it's able to answer a question. This is NLP programming, neuro-linguistic programming, and those are very expensive. But simplistic chatbots, there are tons out there. ActiveChat has a freemium version. BotXO is probably one of my favorites. It's the premium model. They're at like $500 a month. But yeah, I would say the sky's the limit. But last little thing, the agency that I run is Clint Marketing. Again, it's a growth hacking and digital marketing course. Digital marketing agency. I need to empty my cache, so that's why it looks like crap right now for me. Brilliant. I've been editing the website just prior to doing this. But connect with me on LinkedIn. Why not? Again, I'm the only Taylor Ryan that I know of in Denmark. Been out here for 5 years. That's me in a nutshell. And if there's anything that comes into a specific line of questioning, within reason, I'm always happy to help. Thanks for having me. And I don't know, I'm sorry about the testimonials things, guys. I really can tell that upset a few people.
Thanks, Taylor. Well, it's we present options. That's what we do. There are different ways of doing things, different industries. That wasn't the single part of your presentation. You had some great points all around, so people can pick and choose. As you mentioned, you've got lots of grease under your fingers. You've been doing lots of stuff, so people can pick and choose and see what works for them. So thanks for being part of the Design for Growth Summit. Some great Q&As, some great insights from you. Thanks for being here. Stay safe, everyone. We're on to the next presentation of the summit, where Dimitris from our team will be talking about the best colors for conversion, color combinations, and some great visuals that you can create to attract those coveted clicks on your call to actions and getting the results that you want. Thanks, everyone.